school children in this world we now live in that is, perfect in every way, shape or form, is don't you ever want to quit? Don't you want to give up? Yeah, of course I do. Every single day on these expeditions. It is not realistic to be operating in a challenging environment, a high pressure environment, physically, emotionally, or mentally, and not doubt yourself. That makes you normal. What makes you special is you just don't quit. Bring the lamppost closer. Keep stepping forwards. Guys, any questions?
Can I ask you about your role as the intelligence officer, covert intelligence?
Yeah.
I'm fascinated in terms of kind of all the stuff you've done post is kind of adrenaline, kind of doing amazing kind of feats and stuff like that. Presumably as an intelligence officer in your covert, you're playing a long game.
Yeah.
From your perspective, how much of a change was that, and how did you change your mindset over playing the long game as opposed to the thrill of knowing the expectation is to reach the top of Everest or wherever it is?
So I think you make a really, really good point. And actually the reality is that's the social media chat, right? Because let's start the tour, Mount Everest, the Matterhorn, they look like short-term adrenaline fixes. They are the last 24 hours of 2 years worth of programming, testing, training and practicing. So actually, it is what I call a social media trap, isn't it? It is that, oh, look, we just did that. There was nothing to it. Everest took us 3 years to train, prep and go for. We were supposed to go in 2014. Actually, that fell apart in 2015. So actually, my training, if you like, as an intelligence officer is all around influence. It's about understanding what other people's outcomes are. Because if I can help you achieve your outcome, getting you to achieve my outcome is actually really easy. So it's around understanding what other people's outcomes and goals are, helping them to achieve theirs, and then yours become easy. And that actually is how we put these expeditions together. Because by creating that influence, playing a long-term game, rather than looking for a quick win, what we then is we find the support, and we find the sponsors, and we find the backers. And certainly nowadays, I mean, I'm going to do the Paris-Dakar Rally in 2023 on a motorbike. And I sat around my kitchen table with my other half, and she said, there's only two fundamental flaws to that problem. You don't own a motorbike and you've never ridden off-road. I was like, details, woman. But actually, the reality is, to get back to your point, I'm using all of that influence training, all of that negotiation training, all of that long game training to maneuver partners into place to support us. I signed a contract with Michelin last week, Michelin Global, and we're going to be delivering content for them. They've already retweeted us, and that was all done through me trying to help them achieve what they need to achieve, and then for them to achieve, Dakar is relatively straightforward, actually. Does that answer your question? So it's kind of use one to facilitate the other.
Perfect, thank you. I love that. I love the bit at the end. Dakar's quite straightforward. I thought that's.
Watch this space. It's only 10,000 kilometers in the desert. What can go wrong?
Actually, the one more. So you said about like the influence and stuff you do. Is that like a workshop, and what's kind of involved in that? The influence and persuasion.
Yeah, I mean, it's all sorts of things. It's to do with listening. Who has had a rounder and a half in the last hour? last couple of days, right? Whilst your other half was informing you that you could have done something better, were you thinking to yourself, actually, you make a really good point. I've never looked at it that way. I've never thought of it that way. That's really interesting. Right? Or are you thinking, well, you so much as draw breath? I am going to remind you that you did not empty the dishwasher last Wednesday. It is not relevant to what we're talking about now, but I don't care. Right? At that point there, you are not listening, and you cannot be picking up what we call dropout intelligence. Who's had more than one boss? Ever? Obviously, I'm guessing your current boss is on the telly, right? So Scott, you've had more than one boss. Who's the best boss you've ever had?
I haven't ranked them.
Obviously, current one aside.
I don't know. They're all kind of different strengths and weaknesses.
So it's not a trick question. I can see you overthinking. Pick one and tell me if you had to pick one, who would it be?
I've just got there's two bosses here.
But you're not allowed to pick. You're not allowed to pick the current boss. That's a given.
Oh, right. Yeah, in my second job I had, a woman called Nikki. She's like an Italian sales director. She's a good boss.
Why'd you do it?
Because she was just like really forthright, quite blunt sometimes, but like in a good way.
So forthright?
Yeah. So she'd always say what she's thinking.
And when you say sort of blunt but good?
So she wouldn't like sugarcoat stuff.
Okay. So if you think about it, what has Scott actually just told us? How he likes to work. Yeah. If you think about it, because actually you can't tell me who your best boss is without telling me how you like to work by definition, right? So even when your nose is weird and there's something odd going on, we can do it with 200 people in the room, it's quite effective, right? So what you actually then do, if you think about it, so you like something that's forthright, you like to know where you stand, you like to know it's not afraid to tell you you're probably doing well or badly, because then you know that praise is real and discipline isn't, and you're not afraid to have that thought, right? So all that was in one sentence. Because if I said to you, how do you like to work, Scott, right? I've got the speaker's corner answer. Spencer barriers go up and do that. Because you think you're talking about somebody else, this other boss, actually what happens is you become much more relaxed. You've got to do it. You know, so I only asked you one question, and then I just repeat your own words back to you, and you expanded on it. Yeah? So odd words dropped out when they forthright, right? It's not a normal word, is it? So because I'm listening, that's dropped back and tell you to repeat the word forthright back to you, expanded on it. So that's how it works. Just as a tiny example. So you go to a negotiation and you keep doing that, and what happens is people will tell you, they will reveal their beliefs and their motivations, which you've got to try and do. If you want, we've got a minute, I'll show you a really quick lesson on rapport. Okay, what's rapport? We talk about rapport all the time. What's rapport?
Like building a relationship.
Build a relationship, okay, good. How do we get rapport?
Mirroring.
That'd be weird. No. What do you normally say? We try to get rapport. You know, you guys on camera, how do you normally get rapport? How do you get, if I said to you, go and build rapport with somebody, what would you do? What would you look for?
Humour.
Common ground.
Yes, right. So we've all just jumped straight down a crevasse, which is what I wanted to do. The whole world thinks you have to have something in common. No, you don't. That's not rapport. Okay? Having something in common is a conversation starter. Who's wind back to 2019? Who's been to a wedding or a party where you were a +1 with somebody else, right? Woohoo! Bust out dance moves, nobody knows you, free booze. It is literally the best case scenario, right? What happens is, as you calm down from dancing, you go to the bar, and you stand there, and there's somebody stood there, and you just get talking about the thing you have in common. It could be anything, right? Literally doesn't matter. Is it football, rugby, motorsport, work, business, doesn't matter, right? Chat away, and you come back. I come back to Scott, get his drink. Scott goes, "Who's that?" No idea. You go, "What?" You spent half an hour talking to us. Yeah, not clue. Well, what's his name? Don't know. Who's done that?
My 6-year-old does it all the time. Who's your babysitting?
No, I don't. Because they have something in common, playing, you don't delve deep enough. Right? So let me show you how this works. Who's got a hobby that they're prepared to talk about in public on camera? or that you're not.
Golf.
Golf will do. Right, so I know literally nothing about golf. Absolutely nothing, which is ironic because I did 10 minutes in Denver, right? But I know nothing about golf. So if I want to build rapport with you, you would say to me, I'm really into golf too, right? And the first thing I'm going to say is, I know nothing about golf. Now, a lot of sales trainers will tell you never have a negative with somebody you're trying to rapport with. Not true. What have I just done?
Give me like a, I can tell you about it.
No, I've been honest. So now, when I tell you that I do know about speaking in public, you're going to believe me because I was prepared to tell you I didn't know about something else. What I now want to know is why you like golf. Why do you like golf?
It's a good way to chill out with friends. Isn't it?
Okay, perfect. So now what I'm going to say is, Scott, do you know what? I know nothing about golf at all, but my thing is operate motorbikes. And to be honest, this job's pretty intense. We get feedback from people all the time. I always laugh, I go, your job's brilliant. And I turn around to people and go, do you know what? When was the last time you went to work and your client asked every single person you spoke to that day whether you're going to do your job or not, which is this, right? So actually, I totally empathise with you. You need to chill out. My thing is operate motorbike racing. So actually, come the weekend, I put my helmet on, put my goggles on, and that is me. We're out with the boys, I'm out with the mates, we're chilling out. Okay, break that back. The first thing he said was, I do this. Here's a top tip to you. When you go to talk to people, most people will say, I've been doing this 10 years. I'm really good at this. I work really hard normally, I need to chill out. What they're looking for is permission. So you then say, yeah, no problem. Of course, everybody needs to chill out the weekend. I've now given you permission to do what you want to do. And then what I've done is we built rapport on the belief and the motivation. So we built relief that we agree that everybody at the weekend needs to have some time out. That's where the rapport's coming from. We're actually talking about motorbikes and golf in this instance, not having something in common. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you take nothing else out of today, and I never see any of you again, the next time you go into any form of negotiation or meeting, look for a belief or a motivation, not something in common, and watch what happens.
Next time I'm back from my husband's work.
Yeah, and literally watch what happens. And that is how you can build rapport with someone you don't like very much. Because if you think about my old job, I used to have, it's a bit funny thing, like, if you want to know what terrorists do, you have to make friends with other terrorists. Because Mavis, who lives next door, she's lovely, but she doesn't know a lot about terrorists. So by definition, you have to kind of dance with them a little bit. And I'm now dancing with people that I definitely never want around my home, definitely never want to go for a beer with. But the reason you can build rapport with them is because if you think about it, that doesn't mean that they don't have really strong family values. It doesn't mean they don't love their kids. It doesn't mean that they need to chill out from their busy day of terrorism and people. Yeah. and that's actually their rapport comes from. So to answer your question about influence, that's how it all comes together. Works with audience together.